the time, you know? Um, listen, I think everyone's burned out on the whole runway season talk, but that said, I can only speak for myself, but I'm sure a lot of Cardinals fans really want to see if Jordan Walker can gain some traction. It's really important for him to start putting something together that gives us a feeling that it could last or he's turned a corner. To a lesser extent, that applies to Nolan Gorman, but Nolan Gorman has been really, really strong since the end of May. One of their best 2 or 3 hitters on the team statistically, and I think that you know you're going to be looking for opportunities for a guy like Thomas Ajacey, who has not been able to until recently, until Arenado got hurt and then Brendan Donovan got hurt, hasn't been able to really play a lot. But the more he plays, the better he looks. So that's of interest to me. I think there will be a little bit of a soap opera aspect to this team because, okay, will Nolan Arenado return at all this season? And if he does, what will he look like? Will he still look to be greatly reduced offensively, or will this time off to rehab his shoulder, will that add a little bit of muscle to his swing? I don't know. I mean, there's some stuff here, don't get me wrong, but I mean, I can't sit here and be a phony. There's not a lot of compelling story angles at this point, to your point.
Yeah.
There just isn't. But there's always stuff that's interesting to me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest appeal is it's the Cardinals and it's the summer and it's baseball. So we're only going to get another 5 or so weeks of this. So you might as well take advantage of it. But, you know, in doing so, you want to know what there is about the team that we should be paying attention to because specifically paying attention to because the rest of this season really is about next year. And it's about what happens after next season and Chaim Bloom knowing what he's got to work with. And I think he's got a pretty good idea of what his team is right now. Don't you think? I mean, how much more are we really going to learn in the next 4 or 5 weeks about this Cardinals team and the makeup of the roster?
No. And, to your point, Chaim Bloom, this is his second year of studying the Cardinals because Bill DeWitt and John Mozeliak brought him aboard last year. I believe it was early in the season. I could be mistaken, but it was most of last season. So he's had basically, 2 seasons, including an off season in between, to study and learn everything there is to know about this Cardinals team. And he certainly has a great handle on what's in the minor leagues because he brought all his guys in to run the minor leagues and take over the player development system. So they have a really good book in terms of what they have down in the minors. So he's got a head start there. But I think he's about as prepared for this job as you can be. Number one, the draft development side, he excelled at Tampa Bay. That's very important for the Cardinals to have that going forward, and I think they will. He got used to a baseball town where the fans are crazy about the team and are very demanding of their team, and I'm talking about the Boston Red Sox. It's similar to St. Louis. I mean, it's a town, even though the attendance is down, this town still cares passionately about Cardinals baseball. And the fact that people are staying away actually reaffirms that they care passionately about Cardinals baseball because it means a lot to them and it's personal. When they feel let down, they're going to protest by staying away. That actually tells me that they're passionate. So Chaim Bloom, he made some big moves in Boston. He kind of got railroaded because he was ordered to trade Mookie Betts. He gets blamed for that. Why anyone does that is beyond me. I think he learned a lot from that job, so he's going to bring that experience into this job, and it'll make him better. I'm really looking forward to the offseason, to be honest with you. I just did a video for STL Sports Central, and one of the things I said is, frankly, I think the offseason is going to be a heck of a lot more interesting than the regular season. And I think we have a lot to look forward to. There's a lot of anticipation because I expect trades. I expect moves. I expect him to hire his own general manager, things like that. There's going to be a lot of activity.
Yeah, there will be a good amount of that. I guess I'm a little more skeptical that they'll be able to make real wholesale changes. I think there are going to be a few things that get done, but I don't see this being a cleaning house, at least as far as the roster goes. And maybe things change within the organization and the structure of the organization, but I don't think it's going to be a really different roster from what we saw in 25. Maybe I'm wrong.
They've got to offload left-handed bats. They can't go into another season.
You're right
about that. I'm talking about guys who play. I'm not talking about fringe guys.
Sure.
They can't have this imbalance offensively with too many left-handed hitters and not enough on the right-handed side who can hit for impact. And the Cardinals have had to play a lot of left-handed hitters against left-handed pitchers this year, which is not a favorable matchup. And it's one of the reasons why their offense has been mediocre. So I think there'll be one or two guys from that left-handed hitting pool that'll be traded. I also think you're looking at major surgery that's going to be done to this starting rotation because they simply cannot go into 2026 with this rotation. They can go into 2026 with the younger guys, and I'm talking about Libator and Michael McGreevy. But Sonny Gray he told Ken Rosenthal he now would consider consenting to a trade. Do the Cardinals? He's in decline. He's a good pitcher, but he's in decline. Do the Cardinals really want to pay him $35 million next season? Or can they move him and maybe pick up something that will help them in the future? So I think we could see a dramatically changed starting rotation in 2026. It might include a couple of their prospects along the way, like Quinn Matthews or Liam Doyle. I'm not saying from the beginning of the season, but if they stay healthy, I'm sure that they'll be part of the mix next season. So I actually look for some changes. I really do.
Talking about that rotation for next year, and I don't think you're wrong about that, actually. That all very well could happen. But Bill is watching on YouTube and asks about Palante, who was pitching, and he says, they're 3-11 in the last 14 games. Why is he still out there? I mean, are there really any other alternatives at this point of the year?
No. They don't want to rush Quinn Matthews up here. He's on a nice roll. He's getting back that great form that he had last year, and he had a shoulder issue, and that set him back. Then his command was all over the place. He was walking people. He's finally settling in and doing well. This is the wrong time to bring him up. You just let him continue to keep sharp, stay sharp, and work on his craft. He doesn't need to be in the major leagues right now. They could add a journeyman. They've got a couple, guys they signed just to fill the rotation down in Memphis. I mean, yeah, you could bring that up, but does that do anything for me personally? No. But Andre Palante should not be in this rotation next season. He's just not a very good pitcher. If you go back to it's got a 7.71 ERA in his last 8, and you go back to his last 14 games, his ERA is about 6. And the team has lost 8 of his last 9 starts have been a loss. And I mean, I could go on and on. Like statistically, he is one of the worst starting pitchers in baseball this season, and he's getting worse. I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm just spitting out facts,
Yeah.
So I don't see any case whatsoever to be made to where he goes into spring training where they sort of have him written in as one of their starters. If they do, well, then heck, maybe they are going to tank. No, I'm being facetious there, but I'm just saying they're going to have to start this. The most important thing Chaim Bloom can do this offseason, no question, the top priority, start to get to work on improving the starting rotation, either by trades, some free agent signings. They're not going to spend a ton of money, but one thing Chaim Bloom and those people in Tampa Bay have always done is they find gems, they find guys that other teams overlook, and you can find good value without spending a lot of money. And they might get some help from a couple of their top pitching prospects next year. But the most important thing of your team is your starting pitching. 36 teams have made the playoffs since the expanded format, 22, 23, 24, 36 teams. 30 of the 36 were at least average in terms of starting pitching, and 29 of the 36 were above average. So you got about an 81% chance of making the playoffs if you have an above average rotation. If you don't, then you have about a 19% chance of making the playoffs. That's where it starts, because you can overcome a lot of things, but really bad starting pitching, you're not going to overcome that. Period.
No, I mean, thin offenses can make it to the postseason. You don't want to live like that, but you can live like that if your starting rotation is good and your bullpen is is also good, that you, even if you are not scoring very many runs, you can at least hold on to leads if they're 1-run leads, or 3-1, 3-2 leads, something like that. And you mentioned Gray a moment ago, and Matt also watching on YouTube. If Gray is traded, he asks, who would be the number one for next year? I guess, is it Liberatore? Because it's, they're number one with what they have in house, or would they have to go out and get somebody? Which I can't see them making an aggressive starting pitching move for next year.
I can see them getting a starting pitcher that would be part of the rotation for 2026 with based on who they're willing to trade. I think Chaim Bloom can add a couple starting pitchers this offseason. I think it'll be a primary focus of his. So we'll see. So I can't answer the question because, again, I think it'll be a dramatically different rotation. If it's not, then, you might as well brace for a really bad season next year, because they can't. Yeah. They just simply can't do this again. They can't. They just can't do it. They've got to.
Bernie, I'm just not convinced that they are expecting to go into 26 with real aspirations of winning the division.
No,
maybe
they won't.
Maybe they are. Maybe they're like, we're going to get back to winning right away. My guess is, with a new president of baseball operations, they're going to take a very measured approach, especially with 2027 not looking so good as far as a lockout goes.
I think that the first thing Chaim Bloom can do when he's announced officially is taking over for John Mozeliak. He'll have a news conference. He'll make the media tour and all that. The first and best thing he can do is just be truthful with the fans and call this what it is. They're already in a rebuilding phase, because this year was a rebuild, the start of a rebuild. I can explain that later if people are confused by what I'm talking about. It's absolutely the start of a rebuild this season. They're going to go deeper into a rebuild next season. And the best thing that they can do is tell the fans the truth. Fans may not like what they're saying, but at least you're not trying to mislead them or kind of politic them or give them the wrong idea about what the objective is. I think this fan base craves honesty, and I believe they deserve honesty. And I think Chaim Bloom can make a great first impression by just being straightforward about what the plan is for 2026, rather than to try to, sort of hustle everybody into thinking something else.
Yeah, Mark is on YouTube before we hit the break and says Gray was never a number one. He's a 2-3 at best. And I don't agree. There have been a couple of years where he was close to winning a Cy Young. So,
for goodness sake, the guy finished second in the Cy Young voting
like 2 years ago,
the year before the Cardinals got him.
Yeah.
For much of last year, he pitched the way a number one would.
Exactly.
Now, the problem I have when people start throwing around number one, there are different levels of number one starters.
Right.
In other words, no one's saying that Sonny Gray was like Tom Seaver. Okay. No one was saying he was Bob Gibson, right? Or Matt or Adam Wainwright at his peak. But there are 30 teams in baseball, and Sonny Gray, going into this year and through part of this year, he clearly would have been in the top 20 of those 30 starters as far as like, okay, who is everyone's best starter? He would have been in the top 15 to 20 going into this season. So, what do you want? You expected Sandy Koufax? No, is he like truly elite? See, people ought to use the right terminology. You can have a number one starter, and that starter is not elite, but he is a number one starter.
Yeah.
There's a lot of number one starters because you got 30 teams.
Gray had 3 years where he was top 10 in voting in Cy Young, and 2 of those years were top 5. So, yes, he has been a number one starter legitimately before. This is the Gashouse Gang.
No.
Not right now.
No.
Right. The Gashouse Gang brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com, and by Anderson Hospital. Bernie Miklasz, Chris Ranji on KMOX.
Named one of Newsweek's world's best hospitals for 2025, Anderson Hospital is your hospital for life, delivering exceptional, compassionate care to families across the Metro East. From emergency services to specialized treatments, our dedicated team supports your health at every stage. Experience world-class care close to home. Discover the difference at andersonhospital.org.
Calling all future sportscasters. Sharpen your skills and learn from the best of the Missouri Broadcasters Association Sportscasters Forum, Tuesday, September 16th in St. Louis. Join Cardinals beat reporters, broadcasters, and the legendary John Rooney, the voice of the Cardinals, for insider sessions on play-by-play, interviewing, reporting, and more. Then cap the day with a Cards-Reds game at Busch Stadium. Open to college students and broadcasting pros. Just $10 for students, lunch, and a game ticket. Space is limited. Register by September 2nd at MissouriBroadcasters.org.
You hear that? That's the sound of your business losing money. Legacy phone systems weren't built for today's teams. OpenPhone gives your business a smarter way to stay connected. OpenPhone lets you manage calls, texts, voicemail, and contacts all in one place so that you and your team can deliver a seamless customer experience from ring to... Need to take calls on the go? OpenPhone automatically transcribes, summarizes, and highlights next steps from every call, so you never miss a detail. Need insight into what closes a sale? With OpenPhone's AI call tags, you can instantly spot key topics like objections or pricing questions, and use those insights to coach your team and level up every customer interaction. And yes, you can bring your existing number with you for free. Keep your team in sync and your customers happy with OpenPhone. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers. Try OpenPhone for free at openphone.com/try and get 20% off your first 6 months. That's openphone.com/try. Openphone.com/TRY.
Hey guys, Glover here from my friends at Universal Windows Direct. We have all definitely been feeling the heat this summer, and if your home isn't staying cool, your windows could be the reason why. You can blast the AC all day long, but if your windows aren't doing their job, all that cool air is going out the window, literally. Never a better time to buy. Buy 2 windows, get 2 for free, and there's no limit and no interest for 5 whole years. That's 60 months of 0 interest financing. Call 314-334-2522 or go to universalwindowsdirect.com.
Hey guys, it's Kevin Wheeler. Struggling with low energy, performance issues, or weight gain? Game Day Men's Health has you covered with testosterone therapy, ED treatments, and more, all in a relaxed environment that's like being in the man cave. At Game Day, you get a free testosterone test and consultation all in just an hour. Game Day is the premier men's health clinic with 3 area locations in Chesterfield, O'Fallon, Missouri, and Glen Carbon, Illinois. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com, and get back to the top of your game with Game Day Men's Health.
Wake up informed. Wake up empowered. Wake up to Total Information AM, your morning must.
Hi, this is Debbie Monterey. I'm Megan Lynch.
This is Tom Ackerman.
From local news to breaking headlines to weather, traffic, and the stories that matter most, we've got you covered before your first sip of coffee. Expert analysis, bright perspectives from the people you trust. Total Information AM. Your day starts here. Mornings beginning at 5 on 104.1 FM. KMOX.
Rolling hot dogs 2 for $5 on a fluffy bun. All beef hot dogs rolling in. Hurry, cause they're on the run. Pick your toppings anyway. Roll into this deal. Pick your 2, big Q2. Roll and mix a meal. Mustard relish, sauerkraut. Ain't no need to scream and shout. Get 2 all beef hot dogs and a big Q for $5. Only at QT. More than a gas station.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. We recently received a call from an injured person. The insurance company had offered them $11,000. We took the case over and got more than $2 million in court. Morgan & Morgan.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
104.1 FM KMOX, the voice of St. Louis. Stronger than ever.
A lot of traffic, as we mentioned. Wilson Contreras slams one deep left center. It's a goner. The Cardinals are down by 2 again.
Well, the Cardinals will play tonight. Don't forget about that. It's a Tampa Bay series. They've got the first of 3, and the pregame show is at 5:40 with the 6:35 first pitch. And here's one of those. It's so weird, Bernie, but because of football, there's a game tonight, game Friday. They don't play on a Saturday, which is the best day of the week for a baseball game. Then they play Sunday, and that's it. It's such a weird scheduling quirk.
It is. I had to double check. I don't trust my vision sometime. I'm like, oh, yeah, there's no game Saturday. I figured there had to be some reason for that.
Yeah, preseason football. You got to get ready for preseason football in Tampa.
Absolutely. that's another little fact nugget for people who still don't understand that the NFL basically runs the United States.
Oh my God.
So,
does it ever?
I know.
Does it ever? I'm telling
Right?
you, man, it's the Shield. It's the Shield, Bernie. Preseason ends this weekend, basically. Then they get a couple of weeks off, and then the regular season starts. I still love watching. I know
I do too.
You do too, yeah.
I watch college football from 11 a.m. St. Louis time every Saturday until I fall asleep. Usually if there's something going on the West Coast and it's probably like 11 o'clock, 11:30, I'll finally fall asleep. I watch it all day. I've got I got a big TV, a laptop, and an iPad. I'm got three things going at once. And then on Sunday, I'm in front of the TV watching NFL football all day Sunday. I love it. Listen, the Rams moved and it was corrupt, and we all know that. But I'm not going to let the NFL actually take away my pleasure of watching football on Sunday, because you know why? Because if I do that, then they win.
That's a great attitude. You're not going to let them beat us.
No, I'm going to watch football. I don't like the NFL as an institution, but as I always like to say, the guys playing on the field and the coaches, I don't think any of them were responsible for moving the Rams. Do you? No, I don't think so.
No.
Why should I boycott them?
Graham is watching on YouTube and says he's camping on Saturday and was expecting to have a good Cardinals game to listen to, but now he gets nothing. So I don't know what to tell you, man. You can still listen to KMOX anyway. There's plenty of good programming on Saturdays. Bernie Mickelson, Chris Ranji here, and the Gashouse Gang is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com, and by Anderson Hospital. Coming up is the 41st St. Louis Browns reunion luncheon. Part of that is Tom Stevens, who is the grandson of Babe Ruth. And Tom is going to join the show when we come back on KMOX.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Right now, it is 75 degrees in St. Louis. The AccuWeather Real Feel 86. A little cloudy out there right now. And the weather brought to you by the Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company. PennMutual.com/STL. Times are always changing, but Penn Mutual stands the test of time. The 178-year young mutual company is leading the way in life insurance. You can ask your independent advisor or go to PennMutual.com/STL.
Hospital Sisters Health System isn't just in your community. We're part of it. Expert care and genuine support backed by a network that puts your health first. HSHS, connected to our community, committed to your health. Visit hshs.org/caring.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Rochelle talks about her experience with 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
It was a wonderful experience. I had heard about them on the radio. They come out to your house. They let you know what they do. They let you pick out your features, your colors, and then they come into your home the morning they start. They walk you through, this is what's going to happen, and you leave for a few days, and you come home, and it's done.
Was it easy?
It made it easy because you're not in the middle of a mess for 2 or 3 months. Left on a Tuesday morning, and it was done on a Thursday night. We came home Friday morning early because we were so excited.
What was your reaction when you first saw it?
Wow.
It's about time.
3 days or less
at 3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley for i3 Broadband, the internet provider in the Pauley household. I think you'd love it if you had them as well. We've got the 2 gig package at our home, 2 gig upload, 2 gig download mirrored, and we're spending less money than we did with the cable company for lesser service. Plus, right now, they've got savings over $400 beyond their already low standard pricing. You got questions? They've got answers. Call 877-976-0711, and they've got people there who can answer all your questions, or head to their website, i3broadband.com. sportsbroadband.com.
Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. We are visiting with Dr. Premal Thacker.
And we're very fortunate at Washington University School of Medicine and Siteman to have the only endometrial cancer spore. So we are actually doing a $15 million grant that is housed here under Dr. Much to actually evaluate uterine cancer.
Thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, please visit siteman.wustl.edu.
Cards manager Ollie Marble joins the Gashouse Gang every Tuesday at noon. Sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center on the voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Where did your old man get that ball? Some lady gave it to him. She even signed her name on it. Some lady named Ruth. Baby Ruth. Baby Ruth!
Starting in 1902, the St. Louis Browns played for a little over 50 years here in St. Louis during the time that Babe Ruth was playing baseball. And this upcoming Monday is the 41st St. Louis Browns reunion luncheon. It's happening at the Missouri Athletic Club, and the theme of it is going to be Babe Ruth in St. Louis, because there are plenty of ties and history of Babe Ruth playing baseball here in St. Louis. And to talk about that with us, who will be in attendance on Monday, is Ruth's grandson, Tom Stevens, joining us on the Gashouse Gang on KMOX. Tom, good to talk to you. How are you doing?
I'm just fine, thanks, and appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, so this is a really cool thing that is happening on Monday at the Missouri Athletic Club. And I don't know that it's been so long, obviously, but everybody knows who Babe Ruth is. Any baseball knows one of the greatest players in the history of the game. But what don't we know about his history specifically with the city of St. Louis?
Well, I think Ed Wheatley is going to be picking up on that for me. He represents the Browns, and he's the one who's reached out to me to come and speak. I'm going to be talking in large part in generalities about the Babe, his personality, the type of guy that he was, the sorts of things that some of the stories that I heard growing up. From my mother and my grandmother. There's quite a bit to talk about there, and there's nowhere that you can really look these things up. I mean, they were told to me, so I kind of see it as my job to kind of get these things out there and disseminate them to the Babes fans everywhere.
Tom, I think you'll be happy to know. My name's Bernie Miklas, by the way. I collect caps, and in honor of your visit today, I'm wearing my St. Mary's Industrial School for Boys baseball cap. That's where Babe Ruth learned how to play baseball. So it made me smile. Hey, and also, it's a site called Ebbets Field, Ebbets.com. It's great. I can throw something in. Babe Ruth hit 58 home runs at Sportsman's Park here, drove in 180 runs. Also, Bill DeWitt Jr., there's a famous photo in St. Louis. Bill DeWitt, a 6-year-old bat boy, was greeted. He had a chance to visit Babe Ruth, and there's a great photo of Babe. It was the final time in 1948 that he appeared in a Major League Baseball park because he was ailing by then. And there's a photo of Babe Ruth leaning over. He's wearing a suit, and he's got a baseball bat. And Bill DeWitt Jr., the chairman of the Cardinals, is looking up to him. I mean, so there really is a strong connection between the Babe and St. Louis, Tom. I just wanted to let you know that.
He famously talked about wearing because, of course, in Babe's day, St. Louis was the furthest west that Major League Baseball was played. And he also talked about how hot it was. I think he just had a pretty serious warm spell. But anyway, he talked about how he would wear a cabbage leaf underneath his hat to try and keep him cool.
Tom, like I said earlier, there's not his career and his life has been studied and discussed for decades and decades. And it's almost like, how much more can you find out about somebody that we've already examined so closely? And when I asked you about his time here in St. Louis or his history with St. Louis, but is there something about him as a player or as a person that maybe we don't really know about Babe Ruth?
Well, we've pretty well sussed out the records and the official statistics, but there are milestones and achievements that still haven't really been highlighted. And speaking to Babe's relevance, he is the only old timer that Topps still makes. We still do agreements with Topps. They don't even handle Mickey anymore. And in order to keep things fresh, they are always looking for something new. I mean, you can't just put that grid up there, with hits, bats, RBIs, and home runs. But here's something that I thought was just amazing. It came out on a card recently, and anybody can perform this calculation. But a card recently observed, I saw this somewhere in the last couple of months, that over the 14 years that Babe played for the Yankees, he averaged 46 home runs, 135 RBIs, and a 350 batting average. That is a potential MVP Triple Crown every year that he played. Amazing when you put it in that perspective.
You're listening to the voice of Tom Stevens, Babe Ruth's grandson, who's going to be in town at the St. Louis Browns annual luncheon on Monday. Tom, I was reading an interview that you gave earlier this year, and I never knew this about Babe Ruth. And I think it's a really important part of his legacy. He obviously died too young. He had throat cancer. America was very sad when they lost the Babe. But before he succumbed to cancer, he played a major role in terms of the movement, the beginning of serious cancer research in America. Could you tell us about that?
I actually came across a paper that was written by an oncologist at Sloan Kettering in New York, which is where Babe passed. And it was his position. I mean, he just wanted people to be aware of this, that in his opinion, that the greatest thing Babe Ruth ever did for humanity had nothing to do with baseball at all. And it was he volunteered. This was radical. Chemo and radiation were radical treatments at the time. They're just on the forefront. There's no formulated policy or protocol for cancer treatment. So they asked Babe if he'd be willing to volunteer and be a guinea pig. And he said, sure. It was too far advanced for him. It didn't help him, but a great deal of what they learned, apparently, from his studies went to formulate what became the standard of practice for cancer treatment.
Talking about him and sort of the bigger than life personality that we all got to hear about, and obviously there aren't a whole lot of there's not a ton of video, not like you get of players today, not a ton of audio from him. So we only know what we've read and some of the very limited, I think, audio video clips that we're able to consume now. But as a personality, was he as big as we have always been told he was? Because clearly he was a star. He was already a legend at the time he was playing. But was that personality what we know of it today?
Yeah, yes, they were consistent for sure. He, everything that I've read about him, everything that my folks, that my grandmother and my mother ever told me about him was that he was, and researchers too, biographers have picked up on this, that he was a three-ring circus, no matter where he went. And once in a while, 8mm film started popping up in the 30s, as we know, for instance, with the Called Shot. And every once in a while, somebody took a home movie. Babe was over at their house for a barbecue or something. I mean, he did that sort of thing. We know, of course, about all of his visits to orphanages and hospitals. But really, the humanitarian side of Babe is something that I actually will touch on in my remarks. And cancer was only one of many things. I was actually in St. Petersburg, Florida earlier this year. They declared February 6th Babe Ruth Day. The reason being, of course, that St. Pete is where the Yankees were from I think from 1923 until the Steinbrenners bought the team, that they did their spring training in St. Petersburg, and he was involved in so many things. Florida initially was considered too backwater to host major league teams for spring training. So in the earlier in the year the preceding decade, they went to Hot Springs, they went to New Orleans area. Now, when Al Capone moved into Hot Springs and kind of set up shop, that was when Kennesaw Mountain Landis said, "Well, you got to go find someplace else," and that's when they moved to St. Pete. But they really felt like it was so, Florida was so backwater then. It was all swampland, and Babe really helped to put them on the map. I mean, everybody knows St. Petersburg now.
Yeah. That's really cool. Tom, you mentioned the called shot, and there's now a big debate, and has been for years, about what actually happened there in the 32 World Series at Wrigley Field. And it's famously, he called his shot. He said he was going to hit a home run. He pointed, he hit a home run. Some people say he was pointing to the dugout, or he was pointing into the stands. As the family sees it, how do you think that all went down?
Well, it was in the fall, of course, and to my mother's eternal chagrin, she was not there. She was in school, of course. There were a number of people there that recounted what they saw, including Franklin Roosevelt, among others. Cardinal Spellman was there. My grandmother was there. And here's something I thought was interesting. The tempers were running so high. If you can imagine this, I couldn't imagine this going on today, but because of what had gone back and forth between the Cubs and the Yankees about Mark Koenig having he was traded to the Cubs in the middle of the year. He was instrumental in their getting to the series, and they only voted him a half share. That's still to this day, as far as I know, players can control shares and what have you. And so Babe called him out as cheapskates. He said, "Hey, you wouldn't be there without him. You should give him a full share." That's what started it. But what it culminated in, my God, my grandmother told me that when she walked down to her box seat, the Cubs fans spit on her. Can you imagine?
Well, yes, actually, I can. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Tom, I have one more question for you, sir. It amazes me that here we are in 2025, and the name Babe Ruth is still magical in our sports culture. He's still a prominent figure in memory because of his legacy being so profound. And I don't know that there's any other sport where someone who played and accomplished all his great things such a very, very, very long time ago is still this prominent in the American culture. It's a beautiful thing. But does it surprise you at all that his legacy is still so profound that he's still featured in a lot of discussions about baseball and all these thousands of stories about him? It's a wonderful thing.
I think because he was so dominant in his day. I mean, about him hitting more home runs than entire teams in a season. Babe is, I think, part of it. His continued relevance is due to several things, but I think it, in large part, is due to the fact that he still holds records. He still holds pitching records. Still holds World Series pitching records. With the advent of computers, number crunching, and the records that they're dreaming up now, the stats and mean and new parameters for evaluating players that are great. I mean, they really get into all the factors. I'm talking about WAR and OPS plus and whatever. And guess who's out? Guess who's number one with each new parameter they dream up? Guess who's still number one, and by a wide margin. No one has ever. Babe's record with WAR, for example, is unassailable. No one is ever going to be able to touch that because you can combine pitching and hitting. And I think Shohei is showing us that he's going to be a DH or a position player coming up. I don't think that arm of his is going to last. But anyway, there again, when Shohei was coming up and setting goals for himself with 10 wins and 10 home runs and what have you, the Japanese were going crazy. Over a year's period, I must have fielded 15 interview requests from the Yomiuri Shimbun newspaper to Fuji TV and everything in between, because they all wanted to know what we thought of the new way player, the two-way player. Babe is, as I've discovered, I worked a lot overseas in third world countries where they don't give a rat's hind end about baseball, but they know who Babe Ruth is, which is quite surprising to me. So that, there's that global recognition. And truthfully, there's hardly a day passes that sports announcers or writers don't happen to mention Babe for one thing or another, when it comes to superlatives, especially come World Series time. I think it's his. No one has ever even LeBron. I don't know that LeBron dominant. He had his dominant time, but it wasn't long. Before we're talking about other basketball players. It was a good long time before anybody even mounted an assault on one of Babe's records, let alone being compared to him.
Tom Stevens, Tom, we appreciate you being with us, the grandson of Babe Ruth, here in St. Louis for the St. Louis Browns reunion luncheon at the MAC, which is happening on Monday. If you're interested in going to it, you can register and get tickets at thestlbrowns.com. Looking forward to having you in St. Louis and appreciate your time today. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That is Tom Stevens, grandson of Babe Ruth. And Craig, who's watching on Facebook, says that Babe famously broke a window at a car dealership across the street from Sportsman's Park.
Yes.
World Series in October of 26 that happened. Hit a ball over the right field roof. It's just a cool little tidbit. And they will be talking a lot about Babe Ruth and his history with St. Louis. Bernie, you have a history with our friends at Saliga.
Yeah, I think, Saliga's been around since 1927. So depending on where Babe Ruth was traveling around in St. Louis during those years, he might have been in a nice home that was cooled by Saliga Heating and Cooling, right?
Yeah,
how's that for a tie?
Yeah,
how's that for a tie?
Has to be.
Right? So anyway, no, but all kidding aside, I mean, Saliga, the same family has owned Saliga Heating and Cooling in St. Louis since 1927. So we're coming up. Well, the 27 Yankees, but we're coming up on 100 years of Saliga Heating and Cooling in St. Louis. And think about, there's 4 generations of Saligas. Dan is the current owner operator of the family business, but they've taken care of generations of St. Louisans and the families who move here and stay here, you name it. They call Saliga. We call Saliga for a long, long time now. And I can vouch for the fact that there's a reason why they've been around since 1927 and they're still going strong, because they're great at what they do, 100% trustworthy and honest, and they've built their credibility through the decades. They're not going to hustle you, try to talk you into stuff you don't need. They'll look to save you money. You count on them. They're reliable. If they say they're going to be at your home between a certain time, they'll be there. And they're just a pleasure to deal with what could be really a tough situation, because you're a little nervous. You don't know what you're in for if some of your heating and air conditioning equipment is not working well. But Saliga will take good care of you because they've taken good care of St. Louis family since 1927. One other thing before I go, the Priority Club is a maintenance program that Saliga has put in that will save you money because it extends the life of your current equipment, we have saved a lot of money through the Priority Club, and there's other perks. Anyway, just find out more about Saliga Heating and Cooling by going to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com. Thank you.
Hey, it's Debbie Monterey, and between now and the end of the summer, chances are that you or someone you know is in the market to buy or sell a home. And like me, you probably know a few realtors. Well, yeah, I know several as well, but when someone I know needs to sell their home, I always recommend Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I've been telling you about Gloria for years now, and here's why you should call, because no matter what the market does, Gloria Liu will guarantee up front and in writing to sell your home at 100% of market value, or Gloria will pay you the difference.
St. Louis home sellers, if you're looking for certainty and the most money guaranteed for the sale of your home, call me, Gloria Liu. My name is My Promise, Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Call me directly at 314-325-6888 or visit me online at GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
We can get more sleep, we can get more sun, and we can get more exercise, but the one thing we can't get more of is time. It's time to eliminate the one phrase that could be holding you back from reaching your retirement goals. I'll take care of it tomorrow. It's time to pick up the phone and make the call to Gary Goldberg and the team at Financial and Tax Strategies, 314-991-9005, or online at checkwithgary.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Centaurus Financial, Inc., an FFC registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Gary Goldberg, NPN number 918615.
When we started Neovite back in 2009, we wanted to create a multivitamin that we would take ourselves. That's why we use quality ingredients in our Neovite Original Formula multivitamin. With over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our physician-formulated proprietary blend, you can be sure you are getting the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovite Original Formula multivitamin a try for yourself. Find it at your local Schnucks, Deerbergs, and online at neovite.com.
Calling all future sportscasters. Sharpen your skills and learn from the best of the Missouri Broadcasters Association Sportscasters Forum, Tuesday, September 16th in St. Louis. Join Cardinals beat reporters, broadcasters, and the legendary John Rooney, the voice of the Cardinals, for insider sessions on play-by-play, interviewing, reporting, and more. Then cap the day with a Cards-Reds game at Busch Stadium. Open to college students and broadcasting pros, just $10 for students, lunch, and a game ticket. Space is limited. Register by September 2nd at MissouriBroadcasters.org.
Here's a few questions for you from California Psychics. Do your workdays seem to go on forever? Is your career progression as fast as downtown traffic? Or does your boss still not know your name?
Hey, you, Tina, Lisa, Sheila, whatever. Get that report to me by lunch, okay? It's Carrie, ma'am. Just get it done, Terry.
It's time to read the career warning signs and talk to California Psychics. We're always on hand to give you the career guidance you need. You see, we only connect you with the very best. In fact, 98% of the psychics who apply to work with us don't make the grade. That's why we can guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. So you could soon be telling your boss where to stick that report.
Where are you going, Terry? Terry!
Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics. Call 1-800-PREDICT today and get 20 minutes for just $20.
It's easy to feel apprehensive about getting screened for cancer or to just keep putting it off. But Siteman Cancer Center wants to remind you how important it is, especially after the age of 40. And they also want you to know how easy it is to get it done. GetScreenedNow.com has all the information you need on cancers like prostate, breast, colon, lung cancer. You can also find out your risk of disease by answering just a few simple questions. And then you can find one of the hundreds of screening locations in the area. Even if you're a little farther out, there is probably a place near you. You have heard this before, but catching cancer early dramatically increases the odds of a successful treatment, especially with so many cancers showing up earlier in life. So do not be intimidated. Siteman will make the process as simple as possible. GetScreenedNow.com. Do it for your family and friends who count on you. Do it for yourself. Visit GetScreenedNow.com.
Now back to the Gashouse Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling and by Anderson Hospital on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Have about exactly a minute before we got to say goodbye here on the Gashouse Gang. It is Bernie Miklasz and Chris Ranji. And just a quick comment or a question from Steve, who's watching us on YouTube in regard to the Cardinals about next year and who they should keep around. He says they should keep Burleson. He gets better every year. The other guys do not, and Contreras is due to decline. I mean, do you see them maybe trying to work out a deal to move Contreras, or would you think that they believe he's part of their future still?
I think they like him a lot, but if he wants to be traded, they would certainly look at it. Wilson Contreras already is in decline. If you go by his OPS plus, he's down like 15% this year. His slugging's down. His on-base percentage is down. He's still a good player, but the decline phase has already started.
Bernie Miklasz, always good talking baseball with you. We're running up against it, though. Got to make way for the Dave Glover show, so we'll do that. And then we'll talk to you on Tuesday for Oliver Marmol Day. He joins us every Tuesday at 12 o'clock, and we'll talk to you then.
Thanks, Ranj.
That is Bernie Miklasz. I'm Chris Ranji. Baseball tonight, 6:35. First pitch, Cardinals take on the Rays here on 104.1 FM KMOX.